Razabani for IFL TV, proudly sponsored by Everlast. I'm delighted to have with me on Zoom today my man, all the way from Las Vegas, Mr. Amer Abdallah. Amer, it's been a while. How are you? How is the family?
I'm great, brother. Assalamu alaikum. Alhamdulillah, everything is great. Everything, thank God, blessed. Everybody in good health, good spirits. Everything is phenomenal. Thank you.
Good to hear. Good to hear. Amir, the last time I spoke to you, we're living in this crazy time of COVID and fans not in arenas, everything behind closed doors. It's good to see over the last few weeks events in America where fans have been allowed back into the stadiums.
Yeah, great. I mean, last weekend we had Devin Haney on the Linares fight, the 5,000 people at Mandalay Bay. Las Vegas is opening up tomorrow, June 1st. So I think it's back. I mean, it looks like, almost half of the country is vaccinated. They're killing the COVID. So, God willing, and everything is going to slowly start getting back to normal. I think by the end of the summer, we should be full functioning and ready for our, good fall boxing schedule.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. Amir, I was hoping to speak to you last week, but obviously I know I didn't chase you up enough to get you. However, it's good that I didn't chase you because a lot has happened since.
Sure.
Big news broke last week. I saw it on Badu's Twitter initially that John Pascal unfortunately has failed the Varga testing and got caught with 3 different substances. What was your immediate reaction when you found out?
Leonard Ellerby called me from Mayweather Promotions. As you know, the general public usually doesn't know this, but VADA doesn't release the VADA is released by the promoter or the network or whoever is putting on the bout. So they don't release findings to the public. They release it to the promotion. So Leonard Ellerby was the first to hear about it because prior to this fight, we had agreed, with Mayweather Promotions and Badu that we wanted VADA testing for this fight. And I'm not going to point fingers, but we all speculated and we heard that the previous fight was not as par as it probably should have been. But regardless, Badu won that fight anyway. So Leonard called me and he goes, "Are you sitting down?" And I said, "Leonard, don't say it." And he goes, "I need you to sit down." I said, "Leonard, don't say it." And he goes, "Are you ready?" I go, "What happened?" And he said, "Pascal failed his drug test." I said, "You got to be kidding me." He goes, so he started reading me the names. And as he was reading them, he goes, "That's not it. There's one more." And then he read me the second name, and he goes, "That's not it. There's one more." I go, how many did he flunk? And he said 3. I think that the statement's going to be coming out, soon about, what they are. But Don Raphael, a couple of other guys, sources, did that, that released it. Yeah, he failed. Listen, at the end of the day, he failed 3 steroid, performance enhancing drug tests, different ones. I talked to 3 different nutritionists and people that were, very versed in sports nutrition and have a good understanding of what those performance enhancing drugs are. And I said, listen, I would just like to know for my own, my own ease, are those oral? Can they be taken orally? Could his nutritionist or his strength and conditioning coach have put them in a drink, in a smoothie, in something? I never took John Pascal or his team, everybody from the manager on down to be, to be cheats. I never thought that. I never had that aura, that vibe. We've had several conversations. Everybody from his assistant trainers, Troy Ross and I go back a long way. And Greg Leon and I have always had very, good conversations. But the answer on all 3 was it is impossible to take these orally. They're all injected. So you're telling me that somebody injected him. So either they did it while he was sleeping, or they told him it was something else, or he willingly and knowingly took 3 injections of performance-enhancing drugs. I mean, those are the only real 3 solutions.
And then it gives you the call and tells you to sit down. I'm guessing you're the one who told Badu. So how was that conversation? What was Badu's immediate reaction?
It's funny. We had Badu was on a Zoom call with he's working on a project now outside of boxing, and I text him and I text the team together. I go, "I need you guys on an immediate Zoom call now." And Badu goes, "Can you give me a half hour?" I said, "Champ, I need you to hang up that call and hop on this Zoom call." So he did, and we all got on the phone, and I broke the news. I said, "Listen, I'm not going to sugarcoat this thing. Pascal just, blew his VADA test. He's tested dirty, three different steroids, and the fight's off. So Badu just kind of rolled his eyes and nodded his head, and he goes, he said some things to me that I'm not going to, say in public, but in confidence. And it verified the doubt that we had, unfortunately. And more so, here's what I put aside, Raza, and this is why I blew up, and I was very emotional about this. I was emotional about it to Greg Leone. I called him, and he was just as shocked. I was emotional to it to Leonard Ellerby, and we had it was very emotional conversations. Was we make money and we lose money, and you win belts and you lose belts, and sure, I would have loved to see Badu redeem that fight, because the majority of the viewers, 75% of the Showtime viewers, thought Badu won the fight. And all of that was 5% of what angered me. But 95% of that was whoever injected him with this, or if it was Pascal himself who willingly and knowingly took this, was okay stripping Badu of his health, of his family, of his livelihood, of his lifestyle. They were okay seeing him end up like Adonis Stevens, who, thank God, has made a comeback. But they were okay taking that chance for the sake of money. So they're just high-end prostitutes to be able to put Badu in a state of stripping him from his health, his money, his family, watching his kids grow up, graduate, get married, grow old with his wife. What kind of scumbag pig does that? And whoever that was that's responsible for it, you can wear all of that. Scumbag pig, the lowest of the low of humanity, where you can knowingly and willingly and for the what? For the sake of a win, for the sake of money, for the sake of a title, you're willing to put this man in that kind of jeopardy. It's disgusting, man. It's absolutely disgusting. It's appalling.
I mean, we have these quite often now where fighters fail the drug test. And I know Pascal's towards the end of his career. I don't know if he fights again. But what is the punishment? These 6 months ban, these 12 months bans, they don't do anything for these fighters. What is the solution?
Look, and I try to be very fair about this. So if you're taking, and I think that it has to be a degree of how much was in your system or how much got caught. From what I understand, VADA tested him twice. The second sample came back higher than the first, which means it was a fresh dose or he doubled up on it. But if you take something and the supplement that you take is made in a factory that's not third party certified, if it's done and where there's small traces of that, whatever it may be, I think that's where you can start going into bans and 6 months, a year. But when you talk about injections, when you talk about blatant cheating, that's a lifetime ban. The same way that they did to Panama Lewis when he took the padding out of the gloves. That's a lifetime ban from the sport. And I think over and above that, there should be criminal charges. I mean, I'm telling you, I'm thinking of honestly pursuing that from a legal perspective. And I know our attorneys have told us not to talk about it, so I won't. But that's criminal. It's intent. What's the difference between that and trying to shoot at somebody? It's all intent. It's intent to harm this guy and harm his livelihood and his lifestyle. For what? A lifetime ban, without a doubt.
Pascal put some tweets out where he kind of made a statement and said he didn't know anything about this. He's innocent. He didn't do anything. What was your reaction when you obviously saw his tweets and what he said and to defend himself?
Look, there's two parts of it. There's the objective side and there's the subjective side. Let me start with the less important, which is the subjective side. In knowing Pascal for the limited interaction that we've had, a couple of brief hellos and from the last fight, he doesn't seem like a scumbag. He doesn't. Troy Ross, I know, is not a scumbag. Troy Ross is a great guy. Greg Leone, from the conversations that I had, is a very upstanding guy. No issues there. So subjectively, I would say, man, that doesn't make sense. But objectively, when we take out all emotion, the fact is you cannot take that orally. You have to be injected with it. So my question is, what did you think you were injected with? Did you, in your sleep, they injected you with it? Did you, when you woke up, they injected you with it? What was it that they injected you with? So I can't, and I think I'm trying to take a very diplomatic approach here to it, as opposed to what I really want to say. But at the same time, I'm going to give the man his due right, that maybe he unknowingly thought that he was taking a vitamin B shot 3 different times, and I don't know, man. Look, it's bullshit. Is what it is. I mean, it really is. And I can only put lipstick on a pig for so long before you know it's a pig, right? It's you took 3 different banned substances. You tried to hurt the guy. You tried to take his life away from him. You tried to do it all for the sake of a payday and for a belt, for a win that you know you didn't get. That's embarrassing. I think that's very low. And if it is true that he willingly did that and knowingly did that, very bad.
Speaking to Badu of the last 8, 9, 10 months, I know how much he wanted this rematch because he firmly believed he won that first fight. We're 6 days away from the show itself. He was supposed to be chief support. People were talking about this being the main fight. There's going to be a war. What's going to happen to Badu now? I know there's been talk that he's still going to be on the card in terms of opponent-wise. Is it an update?
I think between Mayweather promotion, Leonard Ellerby, our matchmakers, myself, I think we probably have about 6 hours of sleep over the last 2 days. But it did come to a head. Mayweather Promotions will be making an announcement soon. Badu is on the card. He will be fighting. And but here's the thing: the Pascal revenge, and it's going to be a great fight, by the way. But the Pascal revenge is what we wanted. The redemption, the title, and Raza, you know this, as the boxing public knows this, is when you're a champion, your value goes up tremendously the next fight, and your purse goes up tremendously the next fight. Your leverage goes up tremendously the next fight. And you just lost all that. Why? Because some scumbag lowlife decided that they wanted to go down the path of injecting him or taking some banned substances.
Well, we'll look out for some news in the next 2 days or so on this opponent, Amer. I mean, just following on some of the other fighters that you represent, Viddal Riley. I know he was supposed to be on I believe the Trill undercard for Roy Jones and Mike, and I think it was an injury that obviously resulted in not being on the card. What is the latest with him? I think I saw some news of him back in the UK now.
He is. Viddal's back in the UK. When he first came, when we first signed Viddal, and we kind of looked at some options of, listen, the traditional route is going the UK route. The non-traditional route is coming early in your career to the US. It was myself, him, his father, Derek, and we all sat and we collectively decided, listen, let's take the US route. Well, they decided. I gave them some advice, but at the end of the day, Viddal makes all the decisions because it's his career. I can only advise. So the decision was come to the United States, and so we came to the US. I think we got off to a great start. Of course, the first fight, just wanted to see what he was all about. He got the Mexico fight. The second fight, we got him on the Adrian Broner, Manny Pacquiao card. The third fight, right after that, we gave him the main event in Dubai. The fourth fight, he signed with Mayweather Promotions. In between that, I believe we had him on the Gervonta Davis card where Badu fought Pascal the first time. And we had to pull out of that fight due to an injury. So then right after that, we got him on the Mike Tyson, Roy Jones card. We had to pull out of that due to an injury. The guy has some very unfortunate luck. And I'll tell you, guys are dying to get on these cards. I got him on the Tyson Jones card, of course, all those other events. And then he was on the Mayweather Logan Paul fight. And it was proposed to him, listen, here's the situation. You're coming from the UK. So, and I really don't want to get into it too much, logistics, but it was, we had a couple of different options for him, whether he wanted to quarantine and we had a training camp set up for him, or if he wanted to, just come direct. He goes, listen, if I'm going to do the fight, let me just come direct to the United States. I said, great, let's do it. And the problem is that the application process takes long. Nobody's rushing to get guys from the UK, especially with this scary UK variant COVID that they're terrifying everybody with. Nobody's rushing to get these guys into the country. So, Mayweather Promotions hired an attorney. They've been diligently working on it. And we were going to fly him into Atlanta. The Atlanta hub shut down for that process. Viddal's like, when am I going to fight? When are they coming in? And he had, to his credit, he had a full 8-week training camp in the UK. And the paperwork, up until now, is still not in. So just Viddal decided, listen, I'm going to pull the plug. And I told him, listen, there's a chance that Tuesday they're going to come back and say, you're on the card. And he's like, I don't want to wait that long. And he just decided to come off the card. So, I have to respect where the fighter is coming from. I can only advise as much as I can, and only, make the opportunities that we can with him. So, his mindset now is to fight in the UK, go back to the UK, And you know, it's a little bit different route that he initially wanted, which is perfectly fine. You know, it's his career; he can do whatever he wants to do with it. So now we'll start looking at getting him some, you know, local fights there. We've been talking with MTK, and they're very willing to help us move that along. And I think that's going to be the play, is just be able to start moving him there, and having him fight back in the UK where he's comfortable. He's back home, you know, around his family, around his father, who's training him, and we'll go from there.
Obviously, I know you were looking after him from a management perspective. You obviously had Larry Wade from a strength and conditioning perspective. So, how much input do you still have in Vidal's career?
Well, I'm still his manager, right? So the thing is, Raza, and this is what I say to all my guys, Badu, Viddal, everybody else that I work with, is I can only advise you. You know, you're the president of this country. I might be your vice president, or maybe the secretary of defense, or whatever, or your prime minister, or whatever you want, but you're going to make the call. So I'm going to tell you, here are the opportunities, here are your choices, go ahead and make the decision. And if you ask me, what is your decision? I'm going to give you my decision, but ultimately it's your choice. And, you know, that was the decision that he made. Whether I agree with it or not is not up to me. It's not my career. You know, I'm going to work with a ton of other fighters, but he's going to have one career. He's going to have one career. So he's got to be able to make, what the last thing that I want is for me to be able to make a decision for him, and it turn out to be a wrong decision, or one that doesn't work out, and then he resents me for it. And I've been down that road before, where I know from my experience what the right path is. And whether or not you want to take that is entirely up to you. But I think that Viddal is mature enough to make those decisions, and he's got, you know, a great support system behind him. And, you know, it's up to him what he'd like to do. But I think that the UK angle it would be interesting for him. I think it would be good for him. You know, it's home. It's where he needs to be. It's you know, it's his backyard. He's comfortable there. So, you know, that could be it. But to go back to your question, what is my input? My input is to give him advice and to open opportunities for him. I think that we've done a fairly good job in putting him on some huge stages, got him with some huge sponsors, got him around the best fighters in the world. I mean, every single day he's around Badu Jack, Caleb Plant, Mike Tyson, Roy Jones Jr. You know, he's around those kinds of guys. And I think it was great for him to open his eyes to get that level of exposure. But at the end of the day, Vidal's choice, and whatever he decides to do, you know, I'm going to back him.
Obviously, 6 days away from Floyd Mayweather coming back into the ring. Obviously, it is an exhibition. There's a lot of... I understand why he's doing it. Obviously, he's been in the ring. He's fought everybody professionally. He's now getting paid millions of pounds to have an exhibition with a YouTuber. I totally understand it. But he's obviously getting a lot of hate for fighting a YouTuber. Do you give Logan Paul, with his height, with his size, any chance?
Yes. I mean, he has a chance to get a concussion. He has a chance to get knocked out. He has a chance to make millions of dollars. Is that the kind of chance you're talking about?
I guess so.
Come on, man. Come on, man. You're going to tell me, let him in his prime. He's right in his prime. What is he, in his mid-20s now, Logan? He had a tough time with KSI. And not to take away anything from KSI. I feel that we're just wasting your film. I think we're wasting your film, your filming reels. And I think, what do you want? You want me to sell the fight? Okay, I'll tell you. I think it could be very entertaining. I think it'd be fun to see. But, you know, and Floyd's come out and said it. I couldn't agree more. It depends on what he wants to do. If he wants to knock him out early, he's gonna knock him out early. If he wants to carry him and play with him, he's gonna carry him and play with him. This is the best fighter of our generation, and arguably of all time, that's fighting a YouTuber that's 0-1. I don't care how big he is. It doesn't matter. It's entertainment. So let's see what happens.
Amer, I'll end with this. Obviously, I know you also managed Roy Jones Jr. He was here in the UK a couple of weeks ago, about 6 weeks ago, for Chris Eubank Jr., who we trained here. What's the latest with Roy? Is he going to get back in the ring again? Mike Tyson, Evander Holyfield, what's going on in that circle?
So I represent Roy exclusively in the Middle East. And of course, I'm happy to advise him on a lot of things. But Roy, if it was up to me, I would like to see Roy not fight again. Now, you can't tell Roy Jones that, because in his day, in his mind, every single day, he's 6 weeks away from whooping anybody in the world. But that's the mentality that Roy had his whole life, and he continues to have, which I admire so much, which is why he was who he was. The only guy to go from junior middleweight to heavyweight and win every title up on that ladder. 9-time world champion, fighter of the decade. You can't do that unless you have that kind of mentality. So I get it. Roy's ready to fight at any time, anywhere, any place. But is that what I want? No. I would like Roy to, we have some other avenues and some other business ventures that we're trying to get into. And that's really, I would like Roy to enjoy the fruits of his labor and sit back from the side. And mind you, when I went down to Pensacola the first time, it was unbelievable. It blew my mind. This is a guy that has a bunch of amateurs. They're amateurs in the gym with him. And he works with every single one of them. Mind you, this was during the Mike Tyson training camp. I said to him, man, get off your feet, go rest. And he goes, this is what I love to do. He goes, this is my rest. He has such a passion every single day to work with amateur boxers. He has his own program right in his house, in his yard there. He's got a private gym built, and he loves it. And fighters come in, and he's got Chris Eubank down there. He's got Kevin Newman down there, the pros. But he's got a bunch of amateurs there, and he's doing what he loves to do. So I would love to see Roy do that and embark on more, of a training academy kind of venture. I don't want to see Roy fight again, but he wants to fight, and there's a lot of demand for him to fight. So if there's a fun fight out there, I'm not totally opposed to it. I would just rather he didn't do it. But either way, again, Roy's his own man. He always makes his own decisions, and deep down, I have tremendous respect for him and love for him, and whatever decision he makes.
Okay, Amer, thank you for giving me a little bit of your time. I know I've just disturbed you during lunch as well, so I appreciate you giving me 20
Oh,
minutes.
it's all good, brother.
All the best this week. I know we're only a few
Thank you.
days away in Miami, and I'm sure I'll hit you up probably a week after, and we'll catch up and see how the night went.
Inshallah. Thank you, Raz. I appreciate it, brother.
Amer Abdallah, IFL TV. Thank you very much.